Have you ever felt that the kinder you are, the less respect people have for you? You're not imagining it. The more patient you are, the more they test you. The more generous you are, the more they demand. The more silent you stay, the more they forget you exist. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens in the sigh you swallow instead of speaking, in the way people interrupt you, dismiss your ideas, take what you offer, and give nothing back. And somehow the coldest people in the room are treated like royalty, while you, the one who only wanted peace, gets trampled. What if I told you this isn't random, that there's a brutal pattern behind it? Niccolo Machiavelli saw it over 500 years ago. He wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." It sounds ruthless, maybe even wrong, but deep down you already know it's true, because this world doesn't respect good intentions. It respects boundaries. It rewards those who don't flinch, who don't apologize for existing, who don't sacrifice their self-respect for approval. It's not that people are evil, it's that the human brain responds to clarity. It respects strength, it tests weakness, and if you are always available, always forgiving, always explaining, what you're really signaling is, I can be used. That doesn't make you kind. That makes you easy to ignore. So here's the truth no one told you. Being good is not enough. In fact, being kind without strength is like bleeding in shark-infested water. It draws exactly the kind of attention you don't want. And maybe you're there right now. Maybe you're exhausted from being overlooked, tired of giving everything and getting crumbs in return. Maybe you're asking the question that keeps people up at night. How do I get respected without becoming someone I hate? This video is your answer. We're not here to learn how to intimidate. We're here to learn how to command respect without losing yourself. Because the greatest lie society tells the good-hearted is that kindness will naturally be returned. But the real world doesn't run on kindness. It runs on power dynamics. It runs on who you allow to cross the line and who you train to never try. You think people value your silence? They don't. They value what you tolerate. People don't listen to words, they listen to behavior. They watch when you say it's fine through gritted teeth. They notice when you say, don't worry about it, when you're clearly in pain. And they learn quickly that you are safe to ignore. But now let's flip the script. Imagine someone who says no without flinching, who smiles but doesn't beg, who leaves quietly the moment they're disrespected. What happens? People take them seriously, not because they're loud, but because they don't waver. The mind respects what it fears losing, not in a toxic, aggressive way, but in a, you do not get to treat me like that way. That's what Machiavelli was really talking about. Not cruelty, but consequence. And it applies everywhere. Your relationships, your job, your friendships. If you don't enforce respect, people don't feel it. No matter how nice you are, no matter how much you give. Because humans don't respond to virtue alone. They respond to strength with standards. And here's where it gets complicated. Because you might be wondering, does that mean kindness is wrong? But kindness alone is incomplete. It's the illusion that if I'm good, the world will be good to me, that traps people in roles they never chose. Emotional servants, people pleasers, peacekeepers. People who give too much and get back nothing but exhaustion. And here's why. Most people were never taught the difference between kindness and passivity, so they confuse being nice with being compliant. And slowly they become invisible. Because when you give without limit, you become forgettable. Let's be honest. You've seen people who never raise their voice, who are always pleasant, always helpful, and also completely disrespected. Why? Because they're predictable. Because the brain of others registers, I can push them. There's no cost. That's not how respect is born. Fear and respect are connected, but not in the way you've been taught. It's not about threatening people. That's weakness in disguise. True strength is a quiet authority. It's a calm refusal to play games. It's saying no without apology. It's walking away from manipulation like it doesn't deserve a reaction. That's the kind of energy that shifts rooms. And Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He wasn't advocating cruelty. He was pointing at reality. People forget kindness, but they remember boundaries. They forget what you gave, but they remember the moment you stopped giving. So ask yourself right now, have I trained the people around me to respect me or to use me? Because if you're always explaining, always forgiving, always adjusting, you've already answered the question, and it's time to rewrite that script. But I get it. You might be thinking, if I stop being so nice, am I losing who I am? Am I becoming cold? You're becoming complete. There is no true kindness without strength. A kindness that cannot protect itself is just a soft target. A goodness that allows itself to be used is not virtue, it's self-erasure. And psychology has a name for this: validation dependency. You've built your identity around being liked, being agreeable, being the one who never makes waves. And now you've become addicted to approval. You don't want to be disrespected, but you're terrified of being disliked. So you abandon yourself over and over, thinking it's noble, thinking it's maturity, thinking you're doing the right thing. But you're not. You're keeping peace with others at the cost of war with yourself. And the longer you do that, the more you lose. Not just their respect, but your own. Here's part 2, the final, powerful stretch of the script. This is where it shifts from external observation to deep personal transformation. It wraps with a tone of unshakable clarity, emotional force, and the psychological strength your channel is built for. You've tried to be liked. You've tried to be the good one, the one who forgives first, who gives second chances, who stays silent just to keep things smooth. And what did it earn you? Disrespect, fatigue, and a version of yourself that feels smaller every time you compromise your truth. Now comes the hard part, the mirror. You don't just have a problem with others ignoring your boundaries. You have a problem with enforcing them. That discomfort you feel when you want to say no, but say okay instead, that's not compassion. That's conditioning. Most people weren't taught strength. They were taught survival via submission. Taught that love must be earned. That conflict means danger. That expressing your needs will make you unlovable. So you internalize the idea that being agreeable is safer than being honest. But here's the cost of that safety: your power. You trade your voice for approval, your standards for attention, your emotional truth for a shallow sense of peace. And every time you do that, something inside you hardens, not into strength, but into resentment. You start blaming others for disrespecting you while quietly knowing you allowed it. This is not weakness, it's programming, and it's time to uninstall it. Because here's the truth: self-respect is not built in grand gestures. It's built in micro decisions. In the moment you stop answering a message that disrespects your time, in the moment you say no without a follow-up explanation, in the way you walk away without arguing, without guilt, without the need to prove your side, that's how internal authority is built. And without internal authority, there is no external power. Machiavelli wrote about leaders, but everything he said applies to you. He knew that love is unstable. People love who makes them feel good in the moment, but they respect who makes them think twice. And here's where balance matters. You don't need to rule your life with an iron fist. But if you rule it with open doors and no locks, anyone can walk in, and they will. So how do you hold power without becoming cold? By learning the art of quiet authority, the power that doesn't need to yell, that doesn't explain itself every time someone tests you, the power that's felt, not flaunted. You've seen this kind of person. They walk into a room and everything shifts, not because they're loud, but because their presence carries consequence. You can be that person, but first you have to let go of the belief that being feared means being hated. It doesn't. Being feared means you cannot be manipulated easily. It means people can't guilt you into submission. It means you're calm in confrontation. And Machiavelli knew those who cannot be moved emotionally are the ones who hold the most power. So how do you become that person? First, stop chasing clarity from people who benefit from your confusion. You don't need their understanding. You need your boundaries. Second, stop rehearsing fake apologies in your head for standing up for yourself. Let them call you cold. Let them say you've changed, because you have. And third, accept that not everyone will come with you. When you change your posture, your energy, your standards, some people will fall off. Let them. You're not losing anything. You're making room for people who respect your strength instead of feeding on your softness. The moment you stop bending to make others comfortable, your life begins to shift. At first, it feels lonely, quiet, unsettling, but soon it starts to feel peaceful, powerful, alive, because you're finally living your truth. And nothing is more magnetic than someone who no longer begs to be accepted. You see, the ultimate Machiavellian lesson isn't to dominate others. It's to stop letting yourself be dominated by fear, by guilt, by the false idea that being good means being passive. True kindness does not tolerate disrespect. True empathy knows where to draw the line, and true strength doesn't need an audience. It just is. So here's what you do now. You stop over-explaining. You stop apologizing for your growth. You stop tolerating people who test your limits just to see if you still have any. You don't owe anyone access to the version of you they used to control. You don't owe them your patience. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them another conversation where your voice is the one that always breaks first. You owe you. You owe yourself the life that comes from not needing to be understood to stand your ground. You owe yourself the quiet dignity of someone who walks away, not with rage, but with resolve. And most of all, you owe yourself the kind of presence that commands without speaking, because that is what the world respects. It doesn't remember those who were endlessly kind without limits. It remembers those who were kind, but untouchable. You don't need to be cruel. You don't need to be loud. You just need to become someone they know better than to disrespect. If this hit home, I want you to ask yourself, where in your life are you still negotiating your worth? Is it your job, your relationships, your silence in situations where you should have spoken? Write it in the comments, because awareness is where change begins. And if this message woke something up in you, don't stop here. The next video takes you deeper into the psychological roots of why we give our power away and how to never let it happen again. So subscribe, stay here. This journey is yours. You don't need to be loved by everyone. You need to be respected by the one person who matters most, you.